Okay guys, what is up? Starhor here, and today we're doing a brand new tutorial. We're going to be making a Sith Acolyte mask. Now, if you recognize this guy here, he was from the Star Wars The Old Republic cinematic trailers. That's a Sith Acolyte. Now, basically, we're going to be making his mask, and as you can see, an image will be coming up right now, and that's basically what your final product can look like. I'll tell you right now, though, I did not do that. I did something a bit different. However, the steps to get to that are the same that I took. The only thing I didn't do was like the last step, which was a paint job and the swirls. That's pretty much all I didn't do. You can keep on going where I left off if you don't want what I want. I went for an ancient relic sort of feel, so mine's going to be looking a bit different. However, it is great. It's cheap to make, easy to make. I wouldn't say, yeah, it's pretty easy to make, and it is strong. Like my mask is now stab proof now, if you take the same steps I took. So without further ado, let's talk about what you need to make it. You need paper mache, tin foil, resin, which is going to need a couple paint brushes in case you ruin one of them with the resin. You're going to need some cardboard, some newspaper. You know, these are all really household items, and I'll talk about that in the clips that'll be following. So it really is cheap to make. I think like a couple spray paints, those are like $4 each, so that's like $8, and then the resin was $12, $18. So it's definitely not expensive, and especially cheap if you already have this stuff laying around your house. So without further ado, let's get to making it. Alright guys, one more thing I want to note before we get started is that I suggest you watch the entire video before you start, or if you're doing the mask, don't watch the video while you're making the mask. Watch the video first, because I might do something in one clip and I might contradict myself in the next because I found something didn't really work out. So I just want to remind you that before we get started is to watch the video entirely and then do your mask. Alright, so the first step will be to make your paper mache mix, and I just use flour and a bit of water, and then I just mix the two together. I got a fork to get most of the chunks out, which is quite important if you want a smoother finish to your mask. So the consistency, it should be fairly thick. I'd say a soup-like consistency. The first time I did it was a bit too thin. Second time I did it was a bit too thick. So make sure you try to get a good balance. The one in the video is okay. I would add a bit more flour to the consistency that I'm showing in this video just to get it matching. So here's the consistency that I used the first time. I think it's a bit too thin. Alright, so we've got our station set up. Basically, we've got a table with just some newspaper to protect its surface or whatever. We've got a mask, which is going to be the mold for the top part. We've already got the bottom part already set up, so we're just going to do the top part. We've got some other newspaper we're going to tear into strips, and we've got our, what's it called? Paper mache. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to tear these up into little strips, so let's do that. So I've got some little strips here, about that. I just tore them in half and then down in rows, and that should be a good size. So what we're going to do is we're going to, I should probably tear those. So we're going to basically dip it, and we're going to tear those too. We're going to take a piece, dip that down, make sure that gets all covered, dry that off. I would use my fingers to dry that off, but I have a camera in my hands. So let's do that, and then we're just going to cover it across the surface, and make sure no air bubbles get under, otherwise that'll leave for a bad surface. So you gotta try and get the air bubbles out. So you can see there's a few here. So just smooth it out. And let's just do that for the whole top portion. Alright, one thing I forgot to add is that you've got to use saran wrap on your mask. Now, of course, you do this for two things, is to protect the mask from any like damage. You don't want glue on it. I don't really care about this mask, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it so it's easier to remove the actual paper mache once it's dried. So anyways, let's actually get to start laying these out now. Alright guys, so that is basically done. I got a bit of the sides as well, just so it can be attached to the rest of the mask easier. Did a bit of the eyes, obviously I'm going to have to cut some of that off, but I just wanted to get that curve in there. And so, right now, all I would suggest is make sure you get an even layer of newspaper all around. Don't focus on one spot, like a lot of people would probably focus right here. I made sure to move around a bit, like get on the sides, both sides, get on the top, get on the top everywhere, you know. Try and get everywhere you can. Now we just gotta wait for it to dry, and I'm gonna try something to increase the to speed up the drying time, and that's gonna be a hair dryer. I'm not sure. People have said it might not adhere too well, but I'm gonna try it on a low setting, and I'll see how that works. So while we're waiting for this to dry, we're gonna cut out the bottom portion of the mask. And I've got this printed on just a bit thicker paper. I'm not sure if that's what I'm going to use for the final thing. I might just go find bigger paper or cardboard. But I'm just going to try it now, see how it works. So I got to cut out the eyes, both of those, cut out these, and I believe just cut out the middle section. And then I got to hot glue them together. So let's do that. Alright, so I've got it all traced out. And yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to start cutting. If you want to look at the material I'm using, it's basically just a super thin cardboard I got from a box. I thought it'd be alright to use because it's not like that super thick cardboard with the ridges in between. So anyways, let's just get to cutting. Alright, so there's been one small change of plans. I've cut everything out, the mask. Obviously I haven't done the eyes yet. I did both of the cheeks. If we grab that, did both the cheeks. And I was going to cut this out when I realized it might not fit too well in here. So what I did was, I took the piece that I cut out from here when I was cutting. This piece, I'm just going to use that instead because this is a definite fit, since that's what I cut it from. So yeah, that's just one thing I realized when doing this. So anyways, let's go on. Let's talk about the hot gluing for a second. Basically what you want to do is you want to get these pieces, this is kind of hard to do with one hand, but you want to get these pieces together and bend them. Let's see if I can hold this like that. But basically bend it around your face while still keeping the cheek in place. I'll basically show you when I'm done, but we got a hot glue gun, we're going to do that right now. Alright guys, so I glued that together using hot glue. I just basically stuck it on there. And what I did was I tried to bend it, but then I got to squeeze these edges a bit, round them up, so it becomes a bit more round. And then what we're going to do is we're going to basically wrap this around here. Obviously I can't do this with one hand. And then we're just going to actually find a way to secure them. I think hot glue is the best way to do that. And so that is what we're going to do. Yeah, so let's just grab the hot glue. I already marked it off on the side where it should go. I got the, I'm not sure if you can see that, the Sharpie there. To mark it off on either side. And yeah, and this will get in the eye a bit, so I can just cut that away with a knife or something. And I already cut off the edges. Smooth them out a bit. Cut off a bit of the bottom as well. Yeah, so it's all good. So anyways, let's just attach the two pieces. Alright guys, here is the mask finished. I would put it on my head, but every time I try to film it like that, for some reason it doesn't. So what I did was I just put glue on the paper mache, and then stuck the cardboard together. I put it on my face, which is probably not smart in case the glue leaked through. But I put it on my face, made sure everything fit where it was supposed to. The top part fits perfectly on my head. It's ridiculous just how good this mask actually works. I was worried because this mask doesn't fit me too well, but this one actually turns out to fit perfectly. Still got to cut out the eye holes. I cut out a bit of this eye. It was actually a lot tougher than I thought. It was a lot tougher than the edges part up here. But yeah, still got to do that. And then, obviously, glue in the mouth / nose piece. Where's my hand? Yeah, I'm probably just going to glue it behind there just a bit, set it back a bit, just so it looks a bit more depthy, deep. Yeah. And then one last thing I probably got to fix is get up here, because it's sticking out a bit too much for my liking. Just probably going to figure out a way to bend that a bit more. Other than that, though, all we have to do is those things, and we can go into the actual paper mache of the entire mask, which will actually smooth out a lot of this, like these seams here. That'll be smoothed out. If we put this here, you'll notice that there's a gap right under the nose. That's going to be fixed with paper mache. And yeah, so let's do that. Alright guys, so I did the paper mache to the mask. Now, basically I just need to let it dry. And as you can see, paper mache does get rid of most of those creases and all that stuff. There, you know, there's the space there, you know, that won't be there anymore. The nose, there's no space anymore there, that's nice and smooth. Yeah, so now we just need to wait for it to dry. Usually waiting overnight will work. For me, I had to wait probably 24 hours, but because I believe that was because my paper mache was a bit too wet the first time. I made it a bit thicker this time. I'm not sure if that'll affect drying speed. I hope. So let's just have to wait and see. Alright guys, so it actually came out pretty good. It solidified. pretty hard if you actually hit it on the table. It's pretty hard. And yeah, the one thing I don't really like about it is that I feel like it's too wide right here, so if I would do it again, I would probably make sure you squeeze the inside these parts a bit more, so that it's just a bit less popping out. Because the Sith Acolyte mask, well, these are supposed to be a bit straighter. And well, yeah. Other than that, though, yeah, I used duct tape instead of glue to actually stick that middle piece on. Because I ended up burning myself with hot glue, you know, as you can see. I'm not sure if you can see that right there. You know, whatever. Yeah, so I just decided to use duct tape. It stuck well. And yeah, only bad thing is I didn't really get it too well. This side's a bit lower than this side. Not really too big of a deal, but other than that, it actually turned out pretty well. Once I get the resin on here, I can actually smooth out a lot of like the edges and all that. The edges are a bit rough, the surface is a bit rough too. But yeah, we're gonna have to get the resin painted on there and yeah, sand it out. Okay guys, so that concludes part 1 of how to make a Sith Acolyte mask. That just dealt with the paper mache. So next part of the video is we're going to deal with the resin, which solidifies the mask. We're going to do a bit of fiberglass if you want, sanding it and painting it. Well, not the full decorative paint, but just like, you know, painting it. So yeah, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more, if you want to stick around. I've got a couple different Star Wars related videos coming soon. Obviously, this is a Star Wars channel. So anyways, guys, I'll see you next time.